Welcome to Focus Washington. I'm Chuck Conconi. My guest today is an old friend and colleague of mine, Harry Jaffe. Harry is the editor-at-large at the Washingtonian magazine and was a collaborator on books with, Michelle Rhee and former Congresswoman Gabby Gifford. We're here, though, to talk about Why Bernie Sanders Matters, his present book. Harry, thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to be with you.
Well, I mean, you've been watching Bernie Sanders surprise everyone. What was it you saw in the background as you researched him that would make him think that he could run for president?
I think that his ego is as big as the moon to begin with, but he also believes in his own message. And his message is more than I want to be president. He wants to start a political revolution. And he is on a mission, which is something, as I researched why Bernie Sanders matters, I kept seeing over the years how his ideas for how the world should be became a mission to basically help out the working class.
Are you surprised he's doing so well?
In a way, I am not, because he has kind of an ineffable ability to be sincere, to be very believable, and to be trustworthy. And these, I mean, if you are a Jewish guy from Brooklyn and you're elected time after time in Vermont, and you don't try to be a Vermonter, which he never did, then you believe in yourself and you can make people believe in you as well.
Well, I think the big ego and believing in yourself is something you have to run for president. But what I think surprises everyone is this old guy, I can say that because I'm an old guy, and his appeal to young voters.
Mm-hmm. They're attracted to his authenticity. They can smell a rehearsed, worked over candidate. They can smell and detect when someone asks Hillary Rodham Clinton a question that she thinks about it, she thinks about what her handlers said, what the polls say, what her husband said, and then what she thinks, and then it comes out. With Bernie Sanders, you ask him a question and he'll respond in a very direct way because that's the way he's been responding for 40 or 50 years. He doesn't have to think about it. It's, this is what I think, this is what I believe, and if you don't like it, then vote for somebody else, but this is what I think. And that's refreshing and unusual, and I think young people respond to it.
So it's almost in some ways, he's politically incorrect, I guess, and matches what is happening with Trump on the other side.
I think that there's an interesting commonality of a kind of a populist appeal of not being part of the establishment, not being kind of politically massaged, and being willing to attack the establishment. And I think both candidates are populist in that way. It's just that Trump is kind of a populist fascist, and Bernie Sanders is a populist socialist.
And you think, I guess it's surprising that he's overcoming being a socialist, which some people still equate with being a communist,
right?
Even though it's incorrect.
Right. But I think that is kind of the Cold War era. I was one of the people who had to duck and cover under my desk, because, we might be attacked by the Soviet Union. That generation, my generation, is not in the forefront any longer. And you have folks in this country, voters in this country, who don't think of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. They don't think of socialism as being a dirty word. And that's why he's...
And it isn't.
It will be. Trust me, if he wins the nomination, the Republicans are going to put a hammer and sickle on his forehead.
They'll try that. There's no question.
Yeah.
Now, he surprised everyone by winning Michigan. Can he win Ohio and Illinois?
Well, here's what Sanders can use successfully in those states. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of working class white and black voters who are still angry that their jobs were sent overseas and that they are not getting paid as well as they used to. And they don't have the same opportunities, and that their children don't have the same opportunities that they had. Bernie Sanders speaks to them. And he speaks to them, again, kind of with tremendous authenticity, because he has never, ever seen a free trade agreement that he has supported, because he has always measured every agreement not as to whether it's going to help the corporate class, but is it going to help the working class?
And so Ohio and Illinois are industrial states. And
Absolutely.
I think everyone was surprised by Michigan, and perhaps Bernie Sanders was surprised.
I was not surprised by Michigan, and neither was Bernie Sanders surprised by Michigan, because he understands his appeal. And there's something else that I think people make a huge mistake about, and that is describing or expecting the African American voter to always vote the same way. There are Southern blacks who are, very interested in the Bible, very conservative, and they have a kind of a camaraderie that Bill Clinton always connected to. You can't keep that dog on the porch. That's how they describe Bill Clinton, because it's a Southern thing. Northern blacks are not Southern blacks. Northern blacks they live in cities or suburbs, they have manufacturing jobs, they just want to do business, they want to work and make a living. Bernie Sanders speaks to them.
What surprised you? One last question. What surprised you in your research about him?
What surprised me about Bernie Sanders was that in the 60s, he was a big proponent of the free love movement. And he was a ladies' man, and at the University of Chicago, he was on the forefront of making the dorms co-ed, and he wrote letters and held sit-ins about free love. I thought that was pretty damn amusing.
Oh, and the Republicans are going to use that if he does get the nomination.
Absolutely, but that might help him.
Harry, thank you for being here.
Sure.
I'm Chuck Conconi, and this has been Focus Washington.